Hi, I'm Steve Barnes from Barnes Creative Studios. This is a video to show you and give you some awareness of what's going on in the higher education space with ADA compliance and more specifically with virtual tours. Richard Sharp is joining us from University of Cincinnati. Hey, Richard.
Hey, Steve. How you doing?
I just spent a lot of time. I'm doing very well. Spent a lot of time with Richard on campus in Cincinnati. And we were putting together ADA compliant, accessible virtual tours. How did you guys even find out that you needed such a thing?
Yeah, I think there's just been a lot of need. I work with our customers slash students, which involves also their families and parents and other interested parties. And, a lot of times people were just looking for, I think, a little bit more from our website, from our tours. There were... There's been some lawsuits that I think some of our campus partners have been aware of, and so when they go onto our website and they had looked at what we were offering also on our page, from the customer satisfaction standpoint, but also making it appropriately accessible for liability purposes, I think what just made sense to pursue another avenue to get something else on our website.
Right. We've come across, and I work with a lot of people in Richard's position, and a lot of people are being approached by other companies offering an accessible version of virtual tours, but then come to find out later that they're not. And that's a very big thing I know with universities. And how did you do your homework to finally realize that we were the ones that you needed to work with on this?
I mean, I think it's pretty much exactly what you just described. Myself and one of our campus partners that we worked really closely with on this project were looking at other companies and seeing, what they offer. A lot of companies said that their offerings were accessible, and then, come to find out that for various reasons they were not. And
you all challenged me on a couple of the points because it seemed like you were frustrated with some of the other vendors that you had spoke with, and we offered up a VPAT, which is the first thing you ask. Hey, do you have a VPAT for your software? And if the answer is no, I would be very leery of what they're offering. The second part, though, is to get your accessibility department to dive into our actual offering, which yours did, and you actually made a really nice suggestion that we put our developers into doing that even added it and made it even better. So I could tell you were doing your homework because you investigated.
Yeah, I think we definitely have some experts for all things accessibility at UC, and so I thought, along with my campus partner, getting the accessibility team at our institution to check out the software, check out what you were using, what you were offering, some of your previous work that you had done at other institutions, just made sense. They were happy. That makes me happy. So they know a whole lot more about all the requirements and the ins and outs than I do. So, if they're impressed, then, that works for me for sure. And they were.
Well, you seem to pick up on a lot during our week together on campus, actually producing these tours. Were you happy with what you expected it would be versus actually on site? Was it easy? I think a lot of people are afraid it's going to be some massive thing, but in reality, the easy part is the capture. It's all the work after that's harder. So the imprint on you is very little.
Yeah, I definitely think that my job was easy, which was, chauffeuring you around to the different spaces, making sure the spaces are looking presentable for what we want the to go up on the website. But, really, I think the capturing itself, I was surprised how little time it did take. I think for 4 days, I think we were probably capturing no more than a couple hours a day. And then you and your team would go do a bunch of stuff behind the scenes. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm done. So I'll see you tomorrow.
What were you most surprised about with the process of getting your ADA compliant virtual tours produced with us?
I mean, just everything went extremely quickly. Like I said, as far as I'm concerned, I was with you for a couple hours each day while you all captured, and then I was done with my responsibilities for the project for you. But then you and your team would go back and I assume do a whole lot of work behind the scenes. But then, like each night, you were already sending us the previews and the tours for what we had captured that day, so that if anything needed to be like reshot, or if we had anything that we wanted adjusted, we could tell you right then. I mean, I don't think we told you that a single time on any of the tours. I think they were always just ready to go, which was amazing to have it in hand same day. But having the option to make changes so quickly while you're still on site without having to bring you back
Right.
was nice to have as well.
That's why we've kind of designed it that way, so we can go and shoot and get as many as we can in that day, go back, put it together, and while we're there and it's fresh on mind, you can also see it and get a feel for what exactly is going to be delivered to you, and there are no surprises. And also the fact that your labeling is all over it, not other companies. It's actually University of Cincinnati. But a lot of thought went into that. Sometimes you can go in and capture it all, go back home, eventually start editing. But I know you need these, and so to get them into play was a pretty big priority. What do you think other schools, and you've been in these meetings, a lot of times we hear budget, budget, budget. And what I say to that, and not trying to be funny, is that it's a whole lot more inexpensive just to tackle and do it than to deal with the minute you get a demand letter. That is setting off a string of expenses that will be 10x or more of what way more than what it will cost to do it.
I think you just hit the nail on the head. It's cheaper to be preventative and proactive than responsive, and so that's so much of what I feel like my position is to be thinking about the future and avoiding any potential issues down the line. And so, I feel like this is so helpful just because like we have it, we don't have to worry about it. It's also just in addition to preventing us from being liable for not being compliant, it's also, it just looks really nice, and it's very helpful for students who are interested in living in housing to just see the space and get a good feel for it. So I think it make complete sense for us to just dive in and handle it, because obviously we don't want to get like sued or
Right.
Our process looked into or anything like that.
Well, the list of lawsuits continues to grow with universities who are turning their head to accessibility, and not just talking about virtual tours. We're talking about the whole website, and it can be a very costly thing, and it can be intimidating at the front to realize, oh, we need an audit, especially if you don't have a department that does accessibility.
For sure.
But don't look at an audit as a bad thing. I think people should look at it as a good thing to be able to service those with disabilities that come to your website. But aside from that, all the extra information and context that it puts on these virtual tours is a great thing, not only for, to your point, future students, because everybody's doing it. I mean, I go to universities from tiny little junior colleges to University of Alabama. Everyone in between is doing it. And it's a good thing. And beyond that, you can use it in social media. You can use it in recruiting, even beyond that with recruiting with staff. So there definitely are pluses. How have you all used these so far? I know they're fresh and new, but how did you put them into play, and what are you seeing?
Absolutely. UC, fortunately, is growing in our student population size, and housing is very much in demand. We used to have tour rooms. I think we still maybe have a couple, but most of our facilities don't have tour rooms anymore,
Right.
because we need every room we can get. And so this kind of has been a really helpful kind of substitution. I mean, you feel like you're in the space. You can get a good impression of the size of the space and walk through it, so to speak,
Right.
and see kind of what the different options are. So I think that's probably the biggest way that we've been using it. we opened I guess we reopened. We renovated one of our older residence halls, and it reopened back in January of 23. And this was very much like something that was being shared as far as like, see the space,
Sure.
So it was marketing. It was serving marketing purposes as well, in addition to, like kind of like the tour for like
Right.
prospective students and things like that. So,
And the ADA compliance level is just a layer on top of it. If you use us to make the tours in the first place, they both live together in the same embed, which is the beautiful thing. If you don't need the compliance part of it for, if someone disabled or has any kind of challenge doesn't need that, they don't have to enter into that part of the tour. But even if they didn't have a disability, the amount of context you can learn about the spaces is even more valuable. So the compliance, yes, it's important. It's just a small little add-on to get you there to be ADA compliant. So I think that the fear, Richard, is what a lot of the universities, they're hearing that scary word of compliance, and they just shut down almost like it's a scary, intimidating thing.
Yeah. I really don't. It just felt like it didn't need to be. And like I said, I mean, like, I guess I'm not the one with all the expertise, but like the folks at our school that are the ones with the expertise, that have been really happy with it. And so, it's helpful to have campus partners, who are knowledgeable in those areas. But I guess if you're not having people who are knowledgeable at your institution, it's worthwhile even to like maybe get second opinions and stuff. And our second and third opinions at UC were just glowing and really happy with the finished product.
And be a leader. You know what? If someone's not tackling accessibility already at your college or university, be a leader and step up and say, hey guys, shouldn't we be addressing this? Because you really should, just to keep it clean for everybody visiting, but also on the legal side to stay compliant. Well, Richard, thank you, first of all, for the business. We enjoyed getting to meet you and float around. I love being on campus at Cincinnati. And best of luck. I know I'll see you soon because you have a new building about to come online, so we'll do some more.
Yeah, we'll bring you back out again next summer.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.